Hello and welcome back to my series on creating a trading bot using MetaTrader 5 and AI. We're actually using ChatGPT. Well, GPT-4o is the model that we're using. In the last video, if you haven't seen it, I will add a link in the description so that you can get to it. But in the last video, we made what is essentially a basic bot using GPT. What the bot looks for is we've got an EMA period, which was kind of chosen randomly. I let the AI choose that, a deviation threshold, and a reward multiple. So what it actually does, you can see the EMA across here. So that's the 14 EMA that we're using right now. If we move too far away from the EMA, then we will enter a trade in the opposite direction. So if we move too high, we're going to enter a short trade. If we move too low, we're going to enter a long trade, and that's basically what it does. Super simple bot. It looked like if we just ran it for 2024, it technically would have made money, but we ran it on some early years and we can see the bot's kind of inconsistent. So what we want to do, if we look at our graph, this is it running over a longer period of time. So this is like 2016 to the end of 2019. It was making money, and then it's kind of mostly trended down since then. Looked like it started trending up again at the end. But what we want to do is optimize it so that it runs a better period. What we need to avoid, it gives us a nicer looking graph. What we need to avoid is overfitting, and one of the ways that we avoid that, number one, is by not having too many inputs. If we've got loads of inputs, it makes it easy for the bot to cherry pick, because that's what overfitting is. Overfitting is cherry picking the data that we've already got to get something that looks like it's good, but then we're not going to be able to cherry pick those same things on future data, which basically means it looks really good in the past and then it ends up performing really badly in the future. So yeah, we just use a few different parameters, and when we preserve some of our data so that it's testing on like a limited period of data whilst we're actually optimizing, and then what we can do is we can test it on some data that our bot hasn't actually seen before. So that is us kind of simulating the real world, because as we run forward into the future, it's going to be looking at data that it hasn't seen before. So right now it's set to look at 2016 to 2020, which is really 2016 to, because it's the first of the first 2020, so it's really 2016 to 2019. And so what we're going to do is, we're only running it on gold at the moment. I haven't actually tested it on anything else. We're going to tell it to do a fast generator based algorithm. We're going to tell it to optimize for complex criterion max. That's, it's kind of, I don't actually know what calculations it's running, but this is something that it thinks is decent. We could do it based on balance, or we can do it based on complex criterion, which is what I tend to like to do it on, because it seems like it takes the equity curve into account. To be honest, it's probably something that you could just Google, and I'm being lazy by not just Googling it to find out what it is. But anyway, so we've set that so that it's going to do these. It's going to optimize for that, but now we need to tell it which inputs. So far, we've only really run it on 0.1%, which is the distance that it is from the EMA before it tries to enter a trade, and 2 times risk reward multiple, and a 14 EMA. So what we're going to do is we're going to tell it to optimize all 3 of these, and so it's going to ignore what it's actually set to, and it's going to test each of these. So it's going to test from, say, EMA, let's do from a 5 EMA to, I don't want to do too many though, but let's see, let's do 5 to 25, 5 EMA to 25 EMA, and we'll do the deviation at, we were at 0.1%, let's do 0.05%, which is probably going to be too small anyway, but let's do that anyway. And we'll tell it to go up, we'll count in 0.05s, and we'll go up to 0.05, we'll go up to 0.5%, and it tells us how many trials it's going to run now. It's going to run 19,000 trials, but that's because this is so many as well. So we'll just do this in ones. So we'll do it from, I don't want to do it in ones, we'll do it in 0.5s. So the risk to reward will be, it'll be 1 risk to 0.5 reward, and then it's going to count in 0.5s. So it'll be 1 to 0.5, then 1 to 1, then 1 to 2, and so on, and we'll only go up to like 3, let's say. So now it still wants to run 12,000 versions, so let's do the deviation only up to, let's do 0.3, and we'll make this do it in we'll make this do it in 0.1s and count up in 0.1s, and we'll do it up to 0.9, let's say. We've got too many EMAs in here. What I would like to do is do fewer EMAs. I'd like to do like 14, 25, like 100, whatever. So let's just leave it at only the 14 EMA for now, and then we'll run that later. So let's not optimize the EMA for now, otherwise it's going to want to run so many times, and we don't want to do that. So we'll test that later. So right now the only things we're changing are the deviation threshold, so that's how far it is from the EMA, and we're testing the risk to reward. And then it will come up and tell us in the optimization results what it thinks, well, what it's calculated is the best so far. Sometimes this takes a little while to actually start running, but we're going to start getting dots on here that are telling us how it's measured up, how the different runs have measured up, and it will tell us what the different levels of the things were. So like the drawdown percentage, the deviation threshold. The deviation threshold and the reward multiple, the drawdown percentage, is one of our results, not what it was running on. I may pause this so then I don't have to speed it up. Yeah, I'm going to pause this for now until we start to get some results. Right, so hopefully you can see now that it's actually doing something. Oh, we have the wrong thing open. Hold on. Let's reopen the MetaTrader. There we go. So you can see, like, down at the bottom right, it's saying which pass it's on. I think the issue again was my disk space, so I'm going to need to sort that out, because the problem is that I'm running this in an extra instance of MetaTrader that I've got, and like, so it's re-downloading all of the data again, and these are like gigabytes and gigabytes worth of files. So I've plugged in like my external hard drive, but I haven't actually redirected everything there yet. So some of the stuff's going there, some of the stuff's not. But as you can see, some of those dots are starting to appear at the top that I was talking about. And so if we go to optimization results, you can see what is happening on the different passes. Like, all of these are losing money apparently, in those years anyway. But we'll see what comes up, and if anything comes up in profit. As I'd said, this is something that I was pleasantly surprised when it came up with profit in 2024 in the first place, because I kind of just made this for illustrative purposes. It was kind of just on randomish concepts. So it's probably a fluke that it came up with profit in 2024 anyway. Although the fact that this is only running on like 2016 to 2019, those aren't necessarily super relevant years anyway. So if we were to look at the past few years, maybe it'd get more interesting results. We'll see. So what's that on? It's on 9 of 18 passes that it's run so far. If we come off this screen and go back on, what have we got? We've got one that managed to lose almost all of the money. What's that? When the threshold was really far. It got a bigger... Oh, and it had a really low reward multiple. So the threshold wasn't even that far, to be fair. But it still reckons that's the best one. How is this deciding what it thinks is the best? It might also be partially to do with the number of trades that it entered, but like it entered so many trades probably because it kept losing money and then entering more trades. I think later on I'll show you one of the bots that I've got that are actually getting decent results, so you can see that conceptually this actually does work as opposed to this particular bot that I'm testing on here. So now let's run some more. Let's go back on and see what it's got. You know what, I think it's to do with the fact that the expected payoff is not as bad on these ones, but I think that's expected payoff per trade. But the fact that this has done so many trades makes it a bad thing, doesn't it? So I think after this test what we'll do is we'll go back and we'll test it on the year that it actually did do well on, just to see. But I wouldn't necessarily trust those results into the future because it's easier to over optimize on more recent data. Just the fact that I would want to forward test on that data instead of wasting it on a back test. Is this stuck? Let's see. Because yeah, it keeps complaining about having no disk space. But it hasn't complained about that in a few minutes. That's about 6 minutes ago was the last time it complained about not having space. So still on number 14, reckons it's got 2.5 minutes left. So I might just pause this again until we get to that. Yeah, because that count is increasing. Alright, so it's just finished. All of these have lost money. It doesn't actually show you a graph on this version, but what we're going to do is we'll put it onto, we'll let it run those same things. It's kind of weird that it's only doing the 14 EMA as well, but we'll see in a bit. We'll let it run on the last year, well, the current year, 2024, I mean, and we'll see what it comes up with for that. So hopefully it doesn't confuse itself again and run out of space. Ah, there we go. This is running those passes short because it's only the 1 year, so it's going through them quite quickly. Not even a year, it's 9 months. So if we come off this and go back on. Yeah, there we go. It's got some profit showing, so blue is profit. So that's, what was that, 25% profit in 9 months. Yeah, I really probably should Google how it's calculating the complex criteria, because it'd be useful to understand why these unprofitable results are better than the profitable ones. According to it, I think that a lot of it is to do with the trade frequency, because it's only done 71 trades in those months. Let's see what happens if we run it on a different time frame. Let's try on a lower time frame. Let's try 15 minutes and see what it comes up with. So the best, and let's just do it for profit, because that's more interesting to look at, but not necessarily actually the best thing, because it might have a crazy equity curve where it's just zigzagging up and down, and it just happens to end on something that was profitable. Alright, let's see what it comes up with. So we're running this on 15 minutes. Still, we're doing the same distances. Threshold, we're going from 0.1 to 0.3. Let's see what it's got. What I would be interested to see is what the win rate is like, because this has, here we go, what we can do is, if you want to have a closer look at one of the results, so this was doing like a 3 times reward, risk to reward, and a further, okay, this has come out alright, and it had a further deviation threshold. So what we can do is we can have a closer look at this, and then this is a point at which you need to be careful with over optimization. So I've double clicked on that, and now it's actually run that year. As you can see, it zigzags up and down quite a bit, because what's this? This is like in February, it was up, what, more than 20%, but then it managed to lose all of its money again. So as you can see, it's kind of zigzagging. What we want is a nice, we want a more gradual equity curve, but one that actually goes up over time, like it trends upwards rather than zigzagging this badly. Because even at the end, it's, well, quite a bit lower than its highest point. I don't, once I've gone up a decent amount, I don't want to be able to dip back down underneath that starting point. So like, if I get up 20% on 10k, I don't want to go back under 10k again ever. So like, even if it's zigzagging, that is natural, but I don't want it to zigzag back under, basically getting back down to our worst point. Multiple times it's got up, like this is 13%, it got up again, and then it still managed to dip back into quite a significant loss. So let's have a look and see if we can get anything that has a nicer equity curve. Let's see what it was like on something that had a lower reward multiple and a lot of trades, because if it has a lot of trades and it's still going up, that means that it probably is actually trending up, which it doesn't look like it particularly is. Did it get back under our starting point? Looks like it did as well. But you know what, that might be an issue with being on such a low time frame. Let's try 30-minute time frame, see what I'm saying. There we go. Well, I was saying there we go because it was going up, but then it has actually ended lower. See, so that looked like it was generally trending up. Even when it came down, it didn't go all the way back under our starting point, but then it started trending downwards again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this. I'll have a look through some other settings. In fact, no need. Let's have a look and test this on, no, because that will just take up all my space, because I was going to say test it on some different, well, test it on all of the different currencies that we've got on here. Let's try Euro USD on 1 hour. Try that. Is that done already? Nope, Euro USD is not working very well on that. We could try optimizing it on Euro USD. Ignore these because these are the ones for gold still. Let's go back to gold. And try it on something larger than 1 hour. Let's see what inputs we were actually on 14 EMA. We didn't actually test different EMAs, which is probably worth doing. What's the graph like on that? There we go. That is probably the worst result we've got. The original thing, the original one that we ran, which I'm not sure I've shown in this video, was, I think it was 14, 0.1, and I think it was 2 on the reward multiple. Oh, but I'm still on the wrong, I'm on the wrong time frame, because that is not a great equity curve either. But I don't think any of them have come up with a great equity curve, to be honest. Because it goes up and then it does kind of that crazy dip. Okay, well, either way, hopefully from this video you've seen what we can get out of our optimization results and how much things can vary even though you're just tweaking a few different parameters. I think what I'll probably do in another video is show you well, my favorite bot so far and how that looks, and the equity curve, kind of what that looks like. Actually, you know what, let me just load it into this now. Give me a minute. Alright, so here's the other bot that I was gonna show you. So this is sort of mean reversion based, but not in exactly the same way as this. It's not just moving away from an EMA or whatever. But if we were to run this one has a lot more input. So as I said, having loads of inputs makes it easier to overfit. But one of the tricks for that is just making sure that, sorry, you don't test it on you don't just let the bot run the optimizations on loads of them over a long period of time. You kind of do your optimization on a small period of time and a small number of variables at a time, and then again you reserve a chunk of the data for doing your forward testing later on, so that you know that it was still able to perform well on data that it had never seen before you'd finished optimizing it. So if we were to run this, I'm not sure what all of the parameters are on, to be honest. I didn't look at them. So let's see how this runs. This is on its default parameters. So this bot actually looks at 3 different time frames at a time and tries to analyze the market structure and then acts based on that. So right now I'm going to test it on from 2015 to 2020, so that's really 2015 to 2019, because it's the 1st of the 1st, 2020. Don't know why it reckons it's going to take so long. It reckons it's going to take 46 minutes. Don't know why. Why is it doing that? Ah, here we go, it's counting down, so I think it's just confused itself a little bit. I think these aren't actually the settings that I run it on. These are all the default settings. What I'll do is I'll pause this for a bit and see why it's running so slowly. Maybe I'm doing too much stuff on it. Is it? No, it's not. I'm just going to check that it's not trying to optimize. I'll pause this a minute and check. Okay, I'll see what's going on. It is, I'm going to stop this. It's looking at too many candles at a time, because I normally run this on about 30 candles. That's how far it's looking back. Pattern length, I think I normally have as 5 or 6. I should just open my other instance of MetaTrader and check. I think most of this stuff is right. This is on normally on 2.5 reward multiple. Oh yeah, that's why. No, this is normally 3. It's this that's normally on 6. Normally runs from 3 to 5 o'clock. Yes. 0.3 lots. Yes, I think static pips have been using that recently. But anyway, this is just as an example. So I think this will still come out as a decent number because this bot is a bit more robust. So it will still have positive numbers on a decent I can change quite a few of the parameters and it still tends to come out quite well. I mean, like, hopefully this isn't about to make me eat my words. So this is going down quite significantly. What setting have I got on here then that's made it go down that far? It usually doesn't have a drawdown of more than maybe like 20-ish%. Right now it's gone down like, what, 70%? More than 70%. So let me check what it's doing that it doesn't normally do. .3 lots. That could be to do with it. Might have to come back to this if it's gonna has it gone. I think it's gone down to like 0. It's about to go down to 0 most likely. Yeah, there we go. That's closed itself because it lost it all. Let me go and check the settings that I normally run it on, and then I'll play it on that. Alright, here we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change this from every tick to just 1 minute at a time, and it will still run the on-tick function. The input, I'll put that back up to 300 because that should be alright if it's not running every tick. This was on 0.0001. I've put that down to 0. Let's try this and see what it comes out as, and hopefully it won't take ages. Alright, now it's saying that it's going to take 3 minutes instead of like 40 minutes or whatever it was on before. So it's still going to go up and down, but hopefully it's not going to dip as deeply. What it tends to do is it tends to come up for a while, come down for a while, come up for a while, come down for a while. But on net, the upward movements tend to be bigger than the downward movements. And every now and then you get like a massive upward movement, but you don't tend to get massive downward movements. So over time, it just works out in your favor. So like this did actually manage to come back down to, what is this? Is this? This isn't even break even to. Oh yeah, balance went down 1 a bit percent, a 1% overall loss approximately. So we're doing 2015 to 2020, I think, and this is what I mean about sometimes you get quite big moves up, but we've got 2.5 risk to reward. So generally the reward is going to be a lot bigger. So when you get flukes, the flukes tend to be flukes in your favor as opposed to against you. So I mean, there's still going to be dips that went flat for a while. There's still going to be dips, but the dips shouldn't go like back below here. So what's this like? That's like about a 2% gain. So even if it dips back down, you're still at a profit. Obviously, I mean not 2% gain, 20% gain. Obviously, this is over quite a period of time, so it's not necessarily beating what the market would do itself. However, what we need to remember is the fact that we can use leverage when you're doing this kind of trading. So if you are willing to increase the risk a bit, you can also increase your reward significantly and not have to sit in a trade for ages and ages like you do if you were just investing normally. Obviously this isn't investing advice or anything. I'm not qualified to give that, so I'm not saying what you should do. I'm just saying what I imagine would happen if certain steps were taken. And this is when we're not actually trying to compound it. So this is if we were scaling with the lot size, if our lot size was growing, which we had turned off for this test. So yeah, we've gone up, what is that? About double your money. But it did take a while. How long did it take? It took 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, took about 5 years to double your money. But obviously if you were doing it at high risk, and then it goes up a lot quicker, it can also go down a lot quicker. And if you're willing to blow some accounts, as long as you're earning more on the winning accounts and you're losing on the losing accounts, then that's a net gain, isn't it? So yeah, that's about it. On this, you can do the same thing if you were going to optimize, because I think we went a little bit off topic in this video. But if you are optimizing, you can do the same thing. So we can optimize for whatever we want to optimize for, and then tell it which inputs we want to optimize based on. So like, say we wanted to test it, whether it was scaling with the account size, so that's just true and false, so that would be 2 different tests. And then let's say if we wanted to test different risk to reward ratios, so let's say we wanted to test from 2.0 and we went up in 0.5s up to 3 times, then that would be 3 tests in that layer, 2 tests in that layer, so that would be like 6 different tests. So if we did that to see what gets the maximum balance and let that run, then I don't know if this is worth pausing. It probably is going to run kind of quickly. I don't know. It's running over quite a long period of time though, isn't it? So it may be worth pausing. But either way, like if you got any particular videos or things that you want me to test, different EAs you want me to test, or there was something that you haven't understood inside of this so far, then yeah, just comment and let me know. Like and subscribe if you thought this was interesting and useful for you, and yeah, let me know what it is that you want to see in the future. I'm just gonna wait for this for another few seconds. If it's not happening, I'm gonna pause it and skip to the end just so you can see what came up. And it looks like it's not gonna do anything now, so I'm gonna probably pause this. Let me see what the journal's saying. Yeah, I think I'm going to pause this. Alright, if we have a look at this, we can see that it's almost ready on most of them. Alright. Yep, so it's done a couple. There we go, because there was only 6 of them to do anyway. So if we look at this, this is with what performed the best was this one did like 200% profit. This one did 150%, 140%, 130%, 100%, 96%. And so you can see that generally as the it performed better when it was scaling the lot size, which makes sense because obviously as it earns more, then it's taking bigger trades. So all of those perform better, and then it also performed better as you increase the risk to reward multiple. What it doesn't show on here though is the fact that when you increase the risk to reward multiple, this is the graph that we already did before, but I mean, because I'm not going to run it another 3 times to show the other ones, but what happens is it gets a bit more volatile. So when it goes down for longer, and then when it comes up, it jumps up, it does like bigger jumps up higher, but you spend a lot more time trending downwards and then you get big jumps upwards. And so to get a smoother curve, sometimes it's better to just not go for the highest risk to reward, but it's up to you what it is that you want to do. You do whatever you want really. But yeah, as I say, let me know if there's anything else that you want me to show or you're interested in, either on the coding side or on the just conceptual side. So yeah, I hope that helped, and that is all for now. Have a look at my other videos if there's anything else you're curious about. Thanks.